Hello, guys. Today I'd like to talk to you about something that has been bothering me for a while now and which I think is extremely relevant, maybe today more than ever. And I'm talking about greenwashing because we've been misled by many companies without knowing. And for those of you who are not maybe familiar with this term, greenwashing, by definition on the dictionary, are the activities by a company or an organization that are intended to make people think that it is concerned about the environment, even if its real business actually harms the environment. So, guys, a company practice greenwashing when they use green marketing and green PR in a deceptively way in order to persuade the public to believe that their products are environmentally friendly when actually they are not. Over the past decades, due to the increasing environmental problems and the consequent public awareness, governments, investors, the consumers, they started to make pressure on the companies to disclose their environmental performances. As a consequence, the company started to take a closer look into the impacts, the social and the environmental impacts of their production chain, and it started to make some improvements. And that's great, that's exactly the goal. The problem is that for many companies, it is easier to pretend that they are green instead of really doing their homework and becoming greener. So many companies, in order to gain the sympathy, the loyalty, and the money of this market, the consumers who are more aware and they're looking for more responsible products, they started to masquerade their products to make them look greener when in fact they are not. And the word here is sustainability. Every brand wants its name to be associated with sustainability. And even though sustainability has been treated by many as a trend, it is not. Sustainability is a value. Companies that have sustainability as a cornerstone, they are not going to create only one or two products, only one or two green products. They are going to leave sustainability as a culture, as a north that is going to guide their internal and external policies, how they are going to treat their collaborators and employees, what type of relationship they're going to establish with their suppliers, and what type of communication they are going to have with their customers. Okay, but what does sustainability really mean? What's it? Guys, by definition, sustainability means to focus on meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. And sustainability is not only about the environment. Actually, we can see sustainability through four lenses: the environmental, the social, the economical, and the cultural. And when we translate that into a product, it means to make sure that during this product life cycle, which includes the development, the production, and the disposability, this product is going to cause the least negative impact as possible to the environment, to the people involved in its production, and also how it's going to impact the culture and the economy in a short and in a long term. Being said that, it is easy to realize that the search for a more sustainable production requires a lot of commitment and a lot of study as well. Even though sustainability is not a new thing, it is a very fertile ground. There are many researches being conducted. There are many startups all over the world focusing on that, and innovations are popping up all the time. The professionals who work in this area, they have years of studies and they have to be constantly updating themselves. And I can say that for myself. I've been deepening my studies in sustainability, mostly in the fashion industry, for a couple of years now. And the more I study, the more I learn. I realize that I still have a lot more to learn and to read. The luck is that this is a very interesting and passionate subject. So, the first thing I'll say to you is to keep your eyes open when you see the brands using vague terms referring to their sustainable products and practices, usually on the label of their products, their advertisement, their website, and also on their social media. For example, when they use words as all green, no chemicals, sustainable, eco-friendly, plant-based. By the way, do you know what's the difference between plant-based plastic to biodegradable plastic to compostable plastic to bioplastic? I can go over that in another opportunity, but one thing that we can all agree here is that all these words, they sound so good, right? And these are buzzwords, and they are used to catch your attention, the attention of this consumer who is more aware, who is more conscious, and who is looking for products that are more socially, environmentally responsible. And guys, here it's important that we talk about the green marketing, because the green marketing, if done in the right way and with purpose, it will educate the consumer about the importance of preserving the environment and also of promoting social justice within this context of consumption. And also by doing that, it's going to reinforce the social and environmental responsibility of that specific brand. That's the reason why, if they only use those buzzwords and they are not able to support that narrative, to sustain that narrative of sustainability, that's not a good sign. Unfortunately, the practice of greenwashing is common in many industries, but I'm gonna stick to the fashion industry here. And I'm gonna tell you up front that you're gonna see after this pandemic an increasing amount of new brands claiming to be sustainable, and also old brands committing to become more sustainable in the near future. Again, that's great, that's amazing, that's what we want. Responsible brands producing responsible products. However, also in the fashion industry, we have to keep our eyes open, and I'm gonna tell you why. The fashion production chain can be quite long and complex. From the raw material to the final product in a store, there is a long process with different steps and different impacts as well. And it is very common, especially in a globalized economy that we live in, that the raw material is produced in a specific region or country due to its geographic and climate conditions, for example, then sent to a different place in order to be transformed into a yarn, then into a fabric, then dyed, and also after that it can be again sent to a different place or even another different country in order to be transformed, cut and sewn, and be transformed into a garment. And in each one of these stages there is some sort of social and environmental impact. We're talking about impacts such as the deforestations to accommodate the farming and the livestock. We're talking about the emission of pollutant gases. We're talking about the exaggerated waste of water, the discharge of heavy metals and chemicals into rivers, poor and life-threatening conditions, work conditions. We're talking about microplastic pollution. We're talking about animal cruelty, just to name a few. Guys, of course that everything that we produce in this planet is going to create some sort of impact. But a society that claims to be democratic, that values human rights, equal rights, that respects the views of minorities, that is advanced enough to extend the right to dignity to animals, cannot accept that so much harm is done to human and non-human lives just to satisfy this need of the present, sometimes very ephemeral needs, because this is not sustainable. We cannot sustain this dynamic both physically and morally for too long. We are not going to be able to justify that to our children and grandchildren when they fight for water in the future. And guys, why is it so important for us to know that, to be aware of the fact that the fashion industry can be quite environmentally and socially impactful? Because when we know that, we will understand that the companies which are truly sustainable, that carry sustainability as a value, they will have no problem in letting their customers know what are the sustainable aspects of their products because they worked hard for that. It is cheaper and easier to not be sustainable. So the brands who work hard in order to add this value to their products, they're going to happily disclose this information to their customers. Remembering that perfection is not expected. No brand nowadays can be 100% sustainable. And that's gonna lead us to a conclusion that the most important thing when we talk about sustainability is actually the transparency and the communication. And when we talk about communication, we're talking about a very informative, professional, and clear communication. I'm gonna give an example. So let's say that I want to produce a line of cotton t-shirts. And I know that cotton can be a quite impactful type of fiber. By the way, guys, it's not because cotton is a plant or comes from nature that it's free from impacts. Actually, the cotton production can be a quite thirsty and chemically intensive type of crop. And by knowing that, I want to make sure that the cotton I source for my t-shirts is a more responsible type of cotton. For that, I can choose to go for an organically certified farming because by doing that, I would make sure that there were no chemicals used on the farming of my cotton and less water was used, the biodiversity and the soil were preserved. Or maybe I'm going to prioritize not necessarily an organic farming, but a farming that is from my country, that is extremely advanced and use the latest technology in order to make sure that less water and less chemicals are used. Or maybe I choose to support a local family farm because they're closer to where I'm going to manufacture my t-shirts and I would like also to support my local community. Or maybe I decide that recycled cotton suits perfectly my product. So see how there are many ways of approaching sustainability in each product, and everything will depend on where you are located in the planet, what are the social and economical realities you're inserted in, what are the sustainable approaches you choose to go for, and also that you can choose to go for. Remembering that smaller brands, they face another level of difficulty due to smaller budgets and the dynamic of the market as well. But then see how important communication is. How important for me is in this example to say exactly what were the factors that I took in consideration in order to choose cotton A, B, C, or D. And if a brand is unable to explain that, to show that, and only uses these vague words of sustainably sourced, eco-friendly, comes from nature, there is a huge chance of this brand being practicing greenwashing. And greenwashing by itself is extremely detrimental because it misleads and exploits the consumer genuine environmental concerns, make them buy unsustainably. And actually it goes beyond that because what is being observed is that due to the many scandals about companies being caught practicing greenwashing, the consumers are starting to become skeptical towards any products that promotes green credentials. Even the products that are genuinely more environmentally and socially responsible. And this is a complete disrespect with the professionals and with the entrepreneurs who are willing to work and to promote a more responsible fashion industry without talking about this being extremely disrespectful, disloyal, and dishonest with the customers. So, if you are a brand, regardless of being a new or an older brand, and if you don't have sustainability as a value, then simply do not pretend that you do. I have good news for you. There is a portion of the market, there are people in this world that simply do not care. They see all this narrative of sustainability as something boring, something from granola, green, hippies. So you do still have a market share without having to lie. But I do also have bad news for you. Because according to the 2019 Retail and Sustainability Survey from the CGS, sustainability is important for 68% of the consumers, being the Generation Z, the leader of the pack, saying that they were willing to pay more and to stay loyal to ethical business. The Generation Z is this generation born between 1996 and 2010. So they are already consumers of the present and they will be consumers of the future. And let me tell you more. This generation is a generation of activists. They have very little patience for social and environmental injustice. If they see you practicing greenwashing, they are gonna call you out and they're gonna come after you. So be prepared. If you are a young brand with true sustainable values, know that this is a long journey, a challenging one, but very beautiful. And you see that you're gonna find a lot more purpose in what you do. So get informed, educate yourself, and work well, and be transparent. Be transparent with your customers, and know that this is mainly a learning process, a learning journey, and we learn from each other. And if we make a mistake, if we misunderstand things, it's okay. We apologize, we learn, we move on, and we do it better the next time. For the bigger brands, this process of adapting to a more responsible production usually doesn't happen from day to night. But what is important to understand is that the bigger companies, because they're already well established, they have a bigger market share, they have a well-funded structure, they are able to make a significant and positive impact for the whole industry. So when a bigger brand commit to become more sustainable and responsible, it is normal that us as consumers, we expect that they are very agile, quick in this transformation, because they have financial power, they have structure, they have better means to do that. And the beauty of it is exactly because they are impactful, exactly because they are big, they can set a new tone for the whole industry. For the consumers, all of us, I'd like to say that yes, it is very frustrating and disappointing when we see brands being caught practicing greenwashing. I am very disappointed as well, and sometimes I feel like they're taking our money while laughing at us. But guys, everything that gains a bigger proportion, everything that becomes a trend, is going to attract the attention of many people from different areas with good and bad intentions. And it wouldn't be any different with sustainability. The sustainability flag is extremely politicized nowadays, and there are many polarized narratives around it. There are economical interests, lobbies, and even the scientific research can be ideologic depending on who is funding them. And we stay in the middle, not knowing what to believe or who to believe in. There is this quote, and there's no consensus on who is the author, but it says the eternal vigilance is the price for liberty. Basically, it says that we must keep alert if we want to maintain our freedom, if we want to maintain our rights, and if we want to live in a sustainable and fair world. And this is the reason why I'm gonna start sharing this type of content with you. Remember again that this is a journey, there is no right or wrong, but different ways of looking at things. So feel free to share with me information about the subject of sustainability in fashion, in the fashion industry. And also feel free to disagree as well, because we learn way more when we deal with differences than when we deal with similarities. And last but not least, I have to say, guys, that the future is promising. There are many innovations popping up, many discoveries, and the industry is well advancing. And I could say that the industry is way more advanced, in fact, than the culture of consumption. So we still have a lot of work to be done, and that's the reason why I'm opening this conversation here. If you watched this video until now, thank you very much for your attention, for your time, and I wish you a very inspiring day.